All right. Let me make sure my mic's coming through. Yep.
Wow.
Okay, dokes.
No.
Alrighty.
What's the difference between an attendee and a spectator? Okay, good. We are live.
Hey there.
Hello.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Am I not allowed to share while a guest?
Um, you should be. Gabe, do I need to adjust like permissions on the screen share?
Let me check. Looks like streaming is set to anyone, so even if you're a guest, you should see the two blue buttons down at the bottom of the
I see them,
streaming
yeah.
screen.
Yeah, I see them. Cool.
Okay, cool. They should work. If you want to try them out, go for it.
Going through the various tutorials. I've actually never used this before. Let's go. Allow camera access. I don't think I can.
This works good.
Screen.
Hello.
Hello.
Do you have the Ready Player Meet thing working?
I don't think so. Hang on. I'm gonna leave and come back.
Oh, hold up. Streaming anyone.
The permissions as you have them, they should let anyone stream.
Mm.
Oh, I see it now. Yeah, cool. Yeah, it's gonna work. Try and share my screen real quick. Just to mess it up. Cool. Can y'all see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Yep.
All right, tight. Thank you. And take it down.
Yep, yep.
And just so everyone knows, if you want a closer look at the screen, you can just click on it and you'll see a button to zoom into it.
All right.
Be back in 1 sec.
Interesting. Wow, Laurent, you created a whole avatar in the time to join. Nice.
I know, right?
I'll just be a robot for right now. I'm cool with it.
Panther, you're the Unity to WebXR person? That's epic. Your work is awesome.
Alrighty.
Jake, we meet again. Jake, just in case you're talking, I can't hear you. I know in the Babylon meetup, you had to do your microphone.
Interesting.
Okay, Ready Player Me, I see you.
Hello, it worked. I had to log in first.
Yep.
Ah, I should have gotten mine in. Oh well. Alright. Probably give it another 1-2 minutes, let people finish filing in, and then you can probably get started, Michael.
All right, perfect. We're up first. Nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I need to double check, see if Jonathan's still available.
I'll even add my webcam so you all can see the face.
Hey, Michael.
Hey, Gabe. This is a nice setup. Performing as hell. At least on my browser, like on desktop. Love my people.
For people that are going to be up on the stage, pro tip is click the little megaphone button next to your microphone, and that'll make sure that even if people are far back in the seating, they'll be able to hear you.
Oh, nice.
Hello, my people.
Nice.
Alrighty. Very nice. Alright, I think we've got a decent amount of people now, so whenever you want to start, Michael.
Yeah, sure. Let me see. I can't seem to share my screen again. Let me just add, I guess, there. Burn? I don't know. Streaming screen. All right, cool. Share my screen. All right, can everyone see?
Yep.
Yep,
Let me
looks
go
nice.
ahead and I'll just expand that a bit for you.
Appreciate it.
There we go.
All right. So we'll go ahead and widen up that slide deck if it's all ready. So some of you might know us. I've chatted with a couple of you. But we are a small startup called Volumetrics, and we're here today to introduce our open source spatial UI library that we've been working on the past few months. We're starting to actually show some progress, so we figured it's time to actually get people to look at it and start tearing it apart for us. So without further ado, let's go ahead and introduce ourselves. I'm Michael, and today with me I have Laurent. We are the co-founders of Volumetrics. Unfortunately, she couldn't join today, but our founding engineer is Hannah Volar. And we started this company really briefly to help improve the spatial computing, spatial web development experience. Brief background on me, I worked at Apple on the Vision Pro for about 4 years, and I just couldn't handle the developer experience anymore, and they weren't going to fix it. So I decided to leave and fix it myself. So I found Laurent along the way and Hannah as well. And here we are today working. So diving right in, what is MRJS? So put simply, MRJS is a mixed reality first web components library. It's designed to be familiar and simple. So using HTML, CSS, and a little bit of JavaScript, any web developer, not just us, the seasoned WebXR developers, can get started building for the spatial web. And it's standards based. So if you have more JavaScript experience, it's very familiar. We're using web components, ES6 classes, very standard stuff to build out our ECS as well as our UI library itself. So it's very extensible and very quick to pick up and understand, or at least that's the hope for us. And of course, we're like built on top of giants. We're not doing anything truly innovative other than trying to pull together all these various pieces such as graphics, physics, and text into one solid library that is very familiar. So we're built on the shoulders of giants. We use Three.js as our core graphics library, Rapier for physics, and of course Troika for text representation. And Troika has been a godsend. I love Troika so much. So I'm going to go ahead and pass over to Laurent to get us started. We're going to go through a demo and build off of it each time. So without further ado, go ahead, Laurent.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. First time I'm presenting in a 3D presentation room, so that's cool. Yeah. So as Michael mentioned, like I'm the part of the trio that actually doesn't know very well web development. I'm a designer, product person at heart, and I know a lot of people like me that struggle to build like cool XR experience because it's quite complicated to start with. But I have some knowledge of HTML and CSS and some JavaScript. So like we're trying to really create a very soft ramp for people to get in and understand and start to build like mixed reality content like very quickly. So Michael, if you want to present the first demo, the first demo is just a responsive. It's like the I would say the table stake, like bare bone foundation. It's a responsive page that is built very similarly to just a standard HTML page. Instead of using div, instead of using like span and things like that, it's using like custom components and custom MR components. But with just HTML and standard like CSS, it's just a media query for the responsiveness. And we have Flexbox and grid support. So you can already build like fairly complex like layout without touching JavaScript. And that I don't think we can open the demo because we don't want like a WebGL context in another one. I don't know how that would work, but yeah, this is not plain HTML. Maybe the next one will make it clear. I don't know, Michael, if you try to open the demo.
Let's go ahead and I'll try for the next one because we can show the responsiveness. Actually,
yeah, let's try for the next one. I mean, this one, the demo will be basically what you see, the animated GIF that you already see on the slides. But yeah, let's go to the next one directly. So the next one is building on but it's a little bit more complex. If you're familiar with JavaScript, then you can access the same way as normal DOM manipulation. You want to query the child of a DOM element. You want to change the text in a text node with inner text or inner HTML. Like, go for it. You can do all that. It's basically like HTML like. And the other little snippet that I'm showing here is we obviously on HTML you get a tag for image and a tag for video. Well, we also have a tag for like native 3D. In that case, it's a GLB files with embedded texture and animation directly, and you just with one line of MR model, MR entity, you just load a model on your page, and you can already build a portfolio. You can already build a interesting educative experiences with just that. So yeah, I don't know, Michael, if you want to try to attempt.
Yeah, let me go ahead and
open that
try
and
it.
see.
Like, I'm on a MacBook Air, so like I don't know how great it's going to be. Can you guys still see my screen?
We still see your screen. We still see the slide, not the I don't know if you share your whole screen or just the tab.
Oh, I just shared the tab. Let me go ahead and step out. I could also
Taking
just
risks.
yeah, let me take the risk and step out and then come back to it. So I'll go ahead and share my screen again, and let me just share the whole window. You guys are gonna see yourself. How well this goes. Oh wow, great, not great job. Slide deck. There we go. Presentation, brought that back up, but let me go ahead and pull up the responsive demo or the interactive demo. There you go.
Cool.
Can you guys see?
Yeah, I think it's good. I think we can
Yep.
see.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, as the slide shows, it's a 2D application. It's responsive. It runs in the browser. You can click on the button, and that changes the model and the text and everything like dynamically. But we wanted to make sure that we wanted to prove that we're not cheating you. So I just kept the debug element in the top right, like the performance debug. But what that also allows is to press a key to get into like that orbital mode. So this is a real full like MR, like WebGL based experience, but it does look, you wouldn't know, it just looked like a standard HTML page.
Yeah.
And that's it for my simple demos, and I will give it back to Michael for more complex stuff.
All right, let me go ahead and jump right back into the slideshow without giving away too much. Like coming from Apple, I really appreciate the surprise and delight element. So like you said, we have the ability to create these like simple applications that are very similar to creating a like already existing web apps that people from the 2D web already know how to build. But for people who like want to do some more complex stuff, and for those people of the 2D web developers who want to ease more and more into immersive experiences, we can take advantages of features that we've integrated recently, such as anchoring and custom entities. Custom entities have been there the whole time. Our ECS is built on top of like the web component standard and data attributes, and we'll go into that in a minute. But using these features, we can already start building like more compelling experiences. So here's the same app, but we've added that button on the bottom right. I don't know if you can see it, where it says MR, and I'll go ahead and launch on the AR experience. This is all on a Quest 3, by the way. I think that's pretty obvious. But I'll go ahead and hit that MR button after like looking at the same app. And right here, we have an aquarium that's just like anchored to my table. It's sized to it automatically. And you can see the various sea life and fish and a whale swim around on your desk. And it's a very simple experience. Like obviously, it's just a transparent box geometry, but with just that, like it's already a lot further than like your classic 2D web developer or a designer with some web experience can accomplish. So let's go into the code itself, and we'll share these demos outward afterwards so people can try them themselves. But there we go. So diving into the code itself, it's still like very simple. It's not too far from the last demo you saw. We have the markup here. We're using components. Our component and like our ECS, like I said, is built. The components element is built on top of the What was that? Sorry. Like the ECS is built on top of both web components as well as data attributes. So here we have data, just very simply anchoring this volume to the table. And MR volume is a component that will, when anchored, take the shape of the plane that it's been attached to, and it automatically like sizes to it. And of course, we have like a custom entity right here. Standard like ES6 classes. You extend MR entity, which itself is an extension of the HTML element class with some more features added to it just for our library. And I'm sure all of you are familiar. It's just pretty simple, straightforward 3JS being added here. Created a box geometry and added a mesh material and added it to the object 3D of this entity. So each entity has both an object 3D that you can access, very similar to A-frame, and a physics body that you can access. But we're still working on like bringing more features into it. So that's not something we're showing in these demos. Now, going further, you can make the experience a lot more advanced using a combination of skyboxes, some more complex shaders, and with the plane anchors, we actually provide occlusion to the scene, like to the scene. Whenever one plane is removed, you'll be able to still block off content from the other using the other planes. So it gives that sense of more space rather than knocking things away. And we do have audio support, but unfortunately, my Quest 3 was unable to capture the audio itself. I'm sure this is something other people have experienced that dug into the bug or like looked it up to see, and I've seen a few people that have said the same thing. But I'll go ahead and play the demo. Again, same app, like that repetition of showing how it can get more and more complex. You still have the feature for the aquarium being placed on the table. It's literally the exact same thing. But then we've got an additional button called Submersed. And we'll go ahead and press play on that. And using shaders, skyboxes, and these models we were already using, we're able to create a much better experience that is like more compelling, more immersive, but still very much anchored into your space using the occlusion of the other planes. This is all one scene. We're not rendering like an additional 3JS scene. The skybox is surrounding your entire space. It's just being occluded by the environment, by the planes themselves. So you can accomplish a lot with very little. So let me go ahead and go to the next slide and dive into the code a little bit more, pun intended. So as you can see, the syntax only gets slightly more complex, not too far from the last. We have more components being attached. Here you see the data comp animation, where we are able to select a clip and an action. So these are auto playing for the hammerhead shark and the koi fish. And then we also have just a blank MR entity. Oh, sorry, go back. A blank MR entity that has an audio component attached to it, which you couldn't hear. I'm still upset about that. But it has like a clip of whale sounds, which really add to the immersion. And these are like position-based audio. So you get that spatial audio experience coming from the wall. And going further, again, a combination of 3JS and like showing a little bit more of the MRJS syntax. We're just toggling the object 3D to visible or not whenever we're playing with the scene. This is from like the disable function. And then right here, you'll see this components accessor. So the components are built on top of the data attributes, as I've said before, and you can modify those with a straight up string, just using like data set dot and then the component name. But we're providing this for convenience where you can set it using an object. So like here, I'm just setting the occlusion like flag to false, and audio and animations, I am disabling the same flag. But it's convenient, it's understandable, and it's like one of those features I thought was a must-have. Then moving over to this entity on the right here, same thing as last time, but with a little bit more complexity. We've got a plane geometry instead, and we borrowed the water mesh from 3JS and like modified it slightly to optimize it for mixed reality. But it's for the most part the exact same code being attached to this object and being rendered in the scene by calling MR. So, like I said, you can accomplish really complex and interesting experiences with very little effort. Not complex, you can like really compelling, and then with like very simple syntax is probably the best thing. And let me go ahead and to hand it over to Laurent for the roadmap.
Yeah, well, I hope that the demo, that the four demo, like building on top of each other, was compelling enough for you guys. Now, I would love to talk to you about like what we're working on next. So, again, as the designer that wants to have things like pretty much like out of the box ready, text input is a big thing that we're building on, where having a text field with selection and like color, like rich text and anything you want in a great text input would be very important. In terms of CSS support, we have the big one. We have again Flexbox, grid, font faces, and things like that. We're missing some of the more like advanced things like typography things, or some of the CSS support will improve. We're also not focusing entirely on mobile phone augmented reality support, but it's something we can deliver. So we will deliver it as so your experience will really be like dimensionally responsive from 2D screen to AR supports on 2D screens to fully like in headsets 3D screens. And also advanced physics, improve the physics. Michael could talk more about it, but we're currently only using physics for like touch and things like that. Having like entity integrated in the physics engine is something that is gonna happen. And the last one is asset libraries. Again, in our efforts to get people to ramp up smoothly into building for WebXR, we want to provide like shaders and models and things that people can pick up directly and start using out of the box without having to go like hire a graphics designer. Anyway, yeah, that's basically that for the roadmap for MRGS. And now let me talk to you a little bit about the roadmaps for volumetrics. So again, our company is Volumetrics. MRGS is the open source MIT framework that we're building. On top of that, we're building a full spatial development environment. So you're all WebXR developer. You all, I think, suffer the pain of putting on headset, testing something, there's a bug, taking the headset off, writing some more code, compiling, testing some stuff, maybe testing a little bit on 2D in the emulator, and then like putting back the headset back on. And that whole loop is very, very like physically taxing. And so we want to move some of the development directly in headsets. Headsets are very powerful. They're great computers. There's no reason they're tethered to another computer. So we want to have like direct manipulation in mixed reality. So you can have the designer and the engineers in the same mixed reality environment and moving object and writing code and all that directly in headsets. And because we're a business, on top of that, we will provide paid features. For example, if you want to host your assets, if you want to deploy to a CDN, and a lot of other like useful feature if you want like a place to store your website, or even if you want your apps to be multiplayer, we will provide like a multiplayer like framework for that. That's pretty much it on the future of Volumetrics, the platform. And no, I think it's time if anybody have some questions. Yeah, let's open the floor. I don't know how much time do we have for questions, but
Go ahead and stop sharing my screen for a moment so that the
Yeah, we've got time for a fair amount of questions. I did see one in chat earlier asking how MRJS, I guess, compared to A-Frame. Someone was wondering.
yeah, so let me spin around so I can like see the room. So it does compare a little bit to A-Frame. I'm sure you guys saw some similarities. And I personally got my start with A-Frame back in, not my start like with like XR in general, but like I wrote my master's thesis in it back in 2020. And it was great, but there are like key features such as CSS support and a focus on UI that I felt were missing. And coming from Apple, where like they're building Swift UI and it's UI first and it's designed for these 2D app developers, I saw a need for that. And there's also like just fundamental features that I would like to have built into the engine itself. So A-Frame is still clearly for like fully immersive experiences or games and things like that. This is a library for apps, and it's built on like more web standards. Like it's built on the ES6 classes, direct access to web components. I'm personally I again love A-Frame, and what Diego has built is amazing. But I think there's a space that's like not being served, and like needing that great UI support, HTML, CSS, responsiveness, such that a spatial app can also be a 2D app without having to write another like code base is something that was missing. So we're trying to fill that gap rather
Yeah,
than
if I can add my perspective as a designer, I
yeah.
also feel like A-Frame is a little bit more like there's JavaScript boilerplate code that you need right away, and you need like what I love about MRJS is you take your HTML page, you take your website that you already have, you add a tag in the head like the GS deliver tag, and that's it. Now you can start writing like mixed reality like content on your website without changing anything. And for me, CSS support is a killer feature. Being able to manipulate mixed reality content with the tools that I already know is a game changer for me.
Yeah, and I think I see another question about React 3 Fiber. So R3, another feature that like we thought was really important is that you get everything off the bat. Like again, like we think that these things are simple as people already building for this space, but like having seen like 2D web developers try and get their start into this space, having to go out and grab a physics engine, grab like 3JS, grab all of these different components just to get like the fundamental pieces started is really frustrating. And like we want to provide like a bootstrap, like out of the box, it's ready to go library. And I love React 3 Fiber. We are compatible with them, I'm quite sure, or we're like being compatible with them is within reach. And we're already, because it's web components, it's a standard. We can be like merged in with someone's React, like or like combined with a React code base, Delta, something like that. That's the other thing. We just didn't want to like attach our cart to like React because not everyone uses it. It is the biggest UI library right now, but we are more comfortable like relying on standards as a dependency rather than something that is like built by the community. I'm very sort of like averse to dependencies. So just having the 3JS, Troika, and Rapier is fine for me. That's like my limit. And easily done with add-on. Like again, like what you're saying. Wait, there's a question from Twitch. Does this work in immersive mode? The emergent has to give a DOM-like capability for immersive modes. Yeah, so if you disable the occlusion planes, you can have that full skybox and it'll give you that immersive mode. We have some more examples coming out. We're building out like what I like to call interactive documentation. We have a standard documentation, but we have a bunch of sample code that goes over the API, but also shows examples in headset as you're reading the documentation. So you can get a good feel of what things like are for. And yeah, A-Frame, like again, I've tried like before I started working on MRJS, I tried building an add-ons library. And it just really, I felt the need to build things from the ground up that may have been a very engineer response. But it's just how I like I wanted to have that like ground up built experience to really focus on the key features that matter most to the 2D developer without having to go grab an app, without having to go grab a physics engine, anything like that. It's all just built in right there. One of my favorite quotes, and I'm sure I'm gassing on a little bit, is from Carl Sagan. It's like, in order to make an apple pie, you must first build a universe. And that is a very like apt comparison to XR development today, not just WebXR, where it's like, in order to just build a simple application, you must go and like build the universe. And I like to say that we are building the universe for you so that you can just focus on baking your apple pie. What happens when WebGPU is here? Do you have Babylon.js will be compatible? Do you hope Babylon.js will be compatible with the MRJS is also? We're built on top of 3JS, and 3JS is working on WebGPU support, and we hope to contribute to that effort as they keep going. As far as I'm aware, WebGPU is still not like even directly integrated with WebXR. There are some proposed standards, some proposed wrappers and like API connections, but it's not there yet. But as soon as it's ready, we'll be ready for it as well. And we will contribute to that effort to get 3JS in there. And are there any other questions? And like, I'm big gassing on. Laurent, if you have anything more to say, by all means, jump in.
Oh yeah, no, I was reading. I respond to a couple of questions. If we were open source already, I'm looking if there is any question that we missed. But
yeah, Gustavo, I really appreciate your questions because these are all the things that I'm like constantly thinking about. Like they keep me up at night. But we're gonna keep working on them and working to build an improved library to like really like capture that market. Any other thoughts, ideas, questions? By all means, you don't have to just text, like throw in some voice. Happy to talk to people. All right, cool. I think that's it for us. And I think we have one more slide we can share.
Maybe I can throw in one question. My mic was
or I
off,
can just tell you right now, and we can share the link out in the chat. How's that sound, Laurent? Other than showing a little slide?
yeah.
I can't hear it for some reason.
I'm just posting.
Oh no! There it is.
I just posted in the chat. We're fairly like we're building the open, and we're
well. Damn, I can't hear anything at the moment. So go ahead. I guess. Laurent, I assume you're speaking to it.
Yeah, I hope anybody can hear me. But yeah, I was saying in any case, posted the Discord link in case you want to follow our development up close. Oh yes, and I will post it again. But if any of you is interested in what we're building, a star on the repo will obviously be very, very welcomed. Because I mean, you all know why. So yeah. Hey, Hannah. Yay, you made it. Cool. Any since Michael is now silent.
Sorry about that.
Okay, you're back.
I'm back. I muted the tab by accident. That's my bad.
I see. Yeah. Anything else?
I have one question. I don't know if it's going to get heard, but you guys say you're using Troika and 3, and my understanding is 3JS has Troika built in. Are you guys doing something special with it other than what they've done natively?
So Troika isn't built in. It's an additional package you can get. It's like an add-on. And we're not doing anything special there. We have spoken to, I've tried filing some issues and gotten some really good responses from the guy building Troika. But no, we're just building on top of Troika's 3JS implementation. What we're doing that's special, quote unquote, is making that API accessible from CSS such that you can set the fonts using just classic style sheets and like font family. Like we're working on weight. You can set italics and
and in the future things like letter spacing, line height, like all the CSS like standard typography features will be translated like transparently again, so knowledge will be portable for front-end engineers or designers like me.
Box model in 3D is super important. Agreed. But yeah, does that answer your question?
Yeah, perfectly. Yeah, because it makes sense.
All right, cool. But then I think we'll go ahead and pass it on to whoever's next. Thanks for your time, y'all. And like, hit me up on Discord and feel free to join ours. We're pretty active on the WebXR Discord as well. Part of the reason we're presenting today is like we're about to hit like our 0.5 release of MRJS, and we want people to go in and just share it to friends and file issues, try it out. And if you want to contribute, by all means, contribute. Like right now, it's just the three of us building on top of it. So we really want to build like one of the best libraries to build the spatial web, to build mixed reality experiences, and really like give the Vision Pro and like native apps a run for their money, showing that you can accomplish the same quality of experience without spending $3,500. Yeah. All right. Thanks, y'all. We'll go ahead and sit down.
Thanks,
Awesome.
everybody.
Thanks for the great presentation. Alrighty. Jonathan, I see you in the audience. Did you?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Did you want to share a Wonderland
Awesome.
update?
Absolutely. Well, let's see. All right. My slides up here. Everyone can tell?
Yeah, here, I can go ahead and move that over, I believe.
I can do that for you if you'd like.
Oh, yeah, please.
Nice. All right. So I'm Jonathan. I'm the founder of Wonderland. We build Wonderland Engine. These slides today have been created by one of our engineers, David. So let's see what I can make out of this.
Screen just went behind the wall.
Yeah, I think I messed something up. Hang on. If you want to reshare over there, Jonathan, go for it. Might just
Sure. Absolutely. There we go. All right. So as I mentioned, these slides were not created by myself, but by David, and I think he did a great job, so I'm reusing them today. Basically, this is a version of the presentation of the France WebXR Meetup. Did anyone already hear this presentation at that meetup? All right, great. That's perfect. That is awesome. So that means it's new for everyone, including me. Effectively, I'm gonna quickly give you an overview of Wonderland Editor and Wonderland Engine's features. I show you a bit about like how Wonderland Engine specifically supports XR, and then go and show you a couple of things that were made with Wonderland Engine. So the Wonderland editor effectively looks very similar to what Unity looks like. And this is intentional to make it very convenient for Unity developers to kind of feel at home with Wonderland Engine. So you'll find like the kind of like scene setup in the scene view in the center. You'll have a scene outline on the left, kind of like component properties and object properties on the right, file browser on the left, bottom left, and then the console kind of the editor. And at the top, there's this very important green arrow, and that green arrow allows you to just launch a browser either onto the Meta Quest or an Android phone, or just like on your local computer with the project, basically packaging and optimizing the entire project in less than a second, and then just having the project run in the browser. But you do have kind of the full power of like a Unity-like environment. You can, of course, write custom code. And I think it's going to be a little bit small to read, but effectively, you'll have a layout that looks very similar to a component that you might build for A-Frame, or a component you might build for Unity, so a custom behavior. And again, you'll probably feel very familiar here, or very at home here You can define public properties. You can run stuff every frame. You can run stuff when the component gets activated the first time, and a bunch more. The nice thing is it just integrates with any JavaScript and TypeScript that you might want to integrate with. You could integrate with React or Vue, or maybe like various tracking libraries from 8th Wall to MindARJS and all these kind of things. And very important with this is that whenever you make a change to the code, it will update your app running live either on the Meta Quest or a phone or your desktop in less than a second, and just completely repackage the entire project. You'll literally have a folder that gets served via a local web server that you could just upload as is, that already contains all the optimizations, just as is to some static web host. This is probably, can anyone read this? Otherwise, I'll make that code part pretty brief.
Yeah, we were able to zoom
But
in on the screen, so
Oh,
I think
awesome.
everyone can see it.
I haven't been in Frame much, but every minute I like it more. That's really awesome. Okay, so you'll notice this is TypeScript code. So for TypeScript, we have a little bit more syntactic sugar. For example, we have this nice decorator, that add property, that allows us to define a public property on a member directly, where previously you kind of had like this properties, what do you call it? This properties object. You now just have a property and you mark it as a public property that should be configurable in the editor. So once you package a project, Wonderland Editor will produce a bunch of different web files, mostly JavaScript, a lot of WebAssembly, and a bin file. And this bin file is a custom optimized binary format that is made to load incredibly fast on the web, and is also designed to be a streamable format, which means that this scene file does not need to be parsed by the browser, but we can just download it and then more or less map it one-to-one onto the WebAssembly memory and then start running on it. Or like immediately upload chunks to the GPU and start working with that for rendering. So we have two ways of actually bundling JavaScript. We have like a very fast kind of non-NPM kind of way of doing things, which is more or less deprecated because we like the power of the NPM ecosystem and therefore like usually push people to use that instead. But effectively everything is based on ESBuild, and ESBuild is pretty fast out of the box. So that also contributes to like really fast bundling times as well. All right, so Wonderland Engine itself is not just like an environment in which you write code and kind of like put together a scene, but we actually optimize Wonderland Engine from the ground up for web. So we built Wonderland Engine not on top of a framework, but we built it from scratch using C++ and compiling it to WebAssembly. And we hyper optimize our shaders for exactly how browsers kind of like render computer graphics, which means that we can get significant performance advantages. We also integrate for physics NVIDIA PhysX. So we compile NVIDIA's open source physics engine to web. And we have kind of like an in-editor simulation preview to make sure that your setup is correct. We integrate the industry standard for font rendering. So the game industry standard for font rendering, which is slug text rendering. And we license this for you so that you can use it for free. And it effectively allows you to have analytically correct font rendering on the web, which means you can zoom in basically infinitely on the font and see every little detail and every little piece of it, which is amazing for VR because it makes text just so much more legible. Of course, we support light maps, and that's one of the preferred ways to do lighting because it just looks amazing. Currently in Wonderland Engine, you need to import a light map. You can export it from Blender or Unity, for example. And you can write custom shaders, and we support anything you can write in GLSL. In this case, you can see a matcap shader. And of course, because we optimize basically the hell out of Wonderland Engine, our goal is once you actually manage to reach the limits of that you have the debugging tools for performance to actually like optimize further. So usually most projects on WebXR are draw call bound, and we completely eliminated the draw call limitations for your projects, which means that you can just render tens of thousands of objects with Wonderland Engine and dynamically move them around. So they're not like statically batched or anything. We call it dynamic batching. So we're able to kind of like move all objects around, but still have basically only one single draw call per material type. So per shader, if you like. So if you have a flat shader and a fong shader and a text shader, that'll be 3 draw calls. And once you actually eliminate this draw call kind of like limitation or restriction, you will usually get into overdraw issues really quickly. And overdraw is when a pixel gets drawn, but then drawn by an object that is a little bit closer to the player, and then drawn over again by another object that is closer to the player. So you're effectively doing 3 times the work in this particular example of drawing this pixel or rendering this pixel. While in reality, you could have just had one, and that is if you draw the first object, the closest object first. And the overdraw visualization can kind of show you which pixels are getting overdrawn a lot. So in this case, you see a few kind of orange spaces or places, orange pixels, and those have been drawn between 5 and 10 times, despite only one pixel being visible. All right, so we designed Wonderland Engine kind of because we saw that WebXR had insane kind of performance demands, right? If you want to build a VR app on the web, then not only do you need to run like through JavaScript and kind of like WebGL and these kind of things, but you need to now render at like 90 hertz in stereo, or maybe even 120 hertz in stereo with high frame rates, which if you don't do it, like the user will feel incredibly uncomfortable. That means we put a lot of effort into XR support specifically and performance in XR. And like we have a bunch of nice templates that allow you to build VR projects and AR projects and mixed reality projects for MetaQuest 3 or Quest Pro or Vision Pro. With NPM, you can integrate various other libraries that we kind of open sourced and integrated into Wonderland Engine. For example, we integrate all of 8thWall's tracking features in case you want to build web AR apps. And we have a spatial audio library to kind of like have really nice spatialized audio on the web with HRTFs and everything. All right, there are a couple of projects that you might recognize that have been built with Wonderland Engine. For example, the Escape Artist was built by Paradowski Creative, and I believe to date, it's probably the biggest and most polished WebXR experience that you'll find out there. It's also featured on the new tab page. So if you open the browser for the first time on the Quest 3 or the Quest 2 or the Quest Pro, then you will find the Escape Artist as like one of the big features experience. And if you haven't tried it out yet, definitely go try it out because it is really, really fun and really, really cool. And they did an amazing job kind of like pushing Wonderland Engine kind of to its limits as well. So I'm really excited about this game. Like also the UX is incredibly polished. Like just try it. It's hard to believe that it's actually running through the web. And then we ported a MetaQuest store game last year to show that we can reach the full performance of the MetaQuest 3 or any other kind of XR2 chip based hardware. And so what we did, we partnered with Robot Invader, who were kind enough to kind of give us access to the entire Unity project for this game. And we rebuilt the entire project by exporting the assets and kind of rewriting all the code in TypeScript. And then we kind of like just ran it on the web, which means it now runs on Quest and kind of VR devices, but it also runs on mobile and it runs on desktop and on like one single application. And that's, I think, one of the big powers of WebXR, that you can have one app that runs kind of like not only like cross-platform on XR, but also like on desktop and mobile, which means like Frame, for example, you can have people joining from desktop, from VR, from mobile, from anywhere. And yeah, so we were basically able to prove, hey, look, we can have the same game that was built in Unity also run on Wonderland Engine with the same performance inside the browser, accessible from anywhere. At a click of a link, it loads fast and, like I said, smooth performance throughout the way. If you want to go try that out, it's launched on HeyVR. So it's heyvr.io/game/dead-secret, I believe, or dead-secret-circle. But you'll find it through the Wonderland Engine website as well if you want to look for it. And two more examples. We have a mixed reality experience by Novolab called Wonderbricks, and Archery Evolution is the latest of the archery series, also featured on the new tab page, kind of like at the very top. Also like a really, really big game. They recently added like a bunch of new levels. It's really, really fun. So go ahead and try that out. All right. So if you're interested in checking out Wonderland Engine or getting started potentially, I bet most of you know JavaScript, so it's gonna probably be really easy for you. We have a website, wonderlandengine.com, and you'll find the Discord server at the very bottom. At the very bottom right, you'll kind of find like join Discord community or something like that. So feel free to come there and ask questions, because I'm hanging out there all the time. All the Wonderland Engine team is hanging out there all the time and just helping new people kind of like get the hang of the engine, find the right tutorials, find our YouTube channel, which is Wonderland Engine. And therefore, yeah, it's that is kind of like the most important resource you'll get out of this presentation. Join the Discord server; you'll get free support there, and I'd be super honored if you gave Wonderland Engine a try. You can download it for free today. All right, I think I saw some questions while I was talking already, so I'll go ahead and go through. Thanks, Timmy. Thanks, SourceGood, for posting the link to Dead Secret Circle. Onator, I'm not sure if I pronounce your name correctly, but is multiplayer supported in Wonderland? If you're familiar with the Needle engine within Unity, can you touch on any advantages or disadvantages when compared to Wonderland engine? All right, one question at a time. Is multiplayer supported in Wonderland? So effectively, you can integrate with any multiplayer library that runs on the web. So you integrate with PeerJS, for example. There's a community project that kind of integrates it in Wonderland Engine as well. You could integrate with Coliseus. We have a multiplayer framework that we're secretly working on that we will release this year, which is very, very tailored to VR. So it kind of like has spatialized audio and these kind of things. And we actually demoed that 2 months ago at the kind of WebXR meetup back then. And you'll be able to use it yourself. It's meant to kind of like support any type of super customized JavaScript-based multiplayer server. Okay, and then the second question was comparing to Needle Engine. Yes, I know Needle Engine, and I think they're doing a great job. Their workflow kind of works out of Unity, and then they export a 3GS-based application from that. So the workflow is pretty nice because it exports really, really fast. But it is built on 3GS, and 3GS is a very low-level framework, which means that you will have to build your own renderer, kind of, or like use Needle's renderer. But it's not optimized specifically for WebXR. So you'll still have draw call limitations and probably like struggle with like rendering 1,000 objects or more. Wonderland Engine, in comparison, just like hyper optimizes, and that's probably kind of like the biggest benefit of Wonderland Engine compared to most frameworks, that we really optimize extremely well for the web and rendering high performance and lots of content on the web. Michael, that's it, asks, is Wonderland itself open source? Any C++ code that compiles to WebAssembly, so the core of the engine, is not open source. That is currently kept proprietary because there are a couple of kind of things, checks, and kind of IP in there that give us a certain advantage at the moment, and that could otherwise be copied out pretty easily. Anything that is JavaScript and TypeScript, we fully open source. So that's all our components, all our integrations with 8thWall or Zappar or like any AR tracking libraries, any kind of UX interaction or multiplayer framework stuff that we do. All of that is open sourced. So JavaScript, yes, but kind of like the C++ core of the application is not. All right. I believe that's all the questions. Oh, wait, there's someone. We ought, Jin says we ought to ratify a GLTF lightmap extension. And yes, I think there's Mozilla lightmaps, and I think we support that in Wonderland Engine even. And then Needle Tools actually invented their own extension for lightmaps, and we were looking into supporting that as well, basically such that you can export a GLTF from Unity with Needle Tools and then import it into Wonderland Engine. But we don't have that yet. Thank you, guest. And all right, then thank you very much for listening, everyone.
Thank you.
Is my screen still sharing? I guess
no,
not,
it's
right?
not.
Awesome.
All right. Yeah. Big thanks to Volumetrics folks and Jonathan for the presentations this month. I had a little something I wanted to show myself, but as I'm handling the stream camera at the same time, it might be a little cumbersome for me to share, but I was mainly just wanting to touch on the recent addition to Chromium that I worked on this month, which was, oh, here, let me get on stage and megaphone. Yeah, so earlier this month, I worked on adding support for WebXR hand input in desktop Chromium. And that is with the Meta hand tracking AIM OpenXR extension, which is available through Meta's PC OpenXR runtime, but specifically the developer version. I'm not quite sure why it's gated behind something like that, but if you were to look, a lot of the like stuff that takes advantage of Quest capabilities, things like pass-through spatial tracking or spatial scene stuff, and the hand input is behind that flag. But yeah, I worked with Alex Cooper, who handles most of the Chromium WebXR stuff, to look over it, and I thought it would be shipping in version 121 of Chrome, but I guess it's been pushed back one. So version 122, you should be able to see it. And D Panther also made a post. I believe it's available in Chrome Canary and maybe Chrome like beta at this point if you want to mess around with it. You just need to download Chrome beta, go to Chrome flags, and then you'll see a flag for WebXR hand input. And then if you have a Quest 2 or a Quest 3 connected with Oculus Link, and you have that developer setting toggled in the Oculus app, you'll be able to use WebXR hand input on desktop, which I think is super cool. As far as I'm aware, this is pretty much not possible before this point, because before then the only existing hand tracking support that Chromium had was for Microsoft specific extensions. So I imagine things like specifically geared to maybe HoloLens or maybe the WMR runtime. Rest in peace. But yeah, that's just some of the stuff that I've been working on. I've been poking around at some other browser engines as well. Was looking at getting the WebXR web platform test to run in Gecko, which I made some headway with, but I'm at a bit of a blocker that unfortunately I don't think there are many engineers left that can give me clear answers on it. So that's a little unfortunate. And I've also been working on Servo's WebXR crate. Basically, just trying to get it working with the Oculus and Steam VR runtimes, as well as Quest 3, which there are difficulties, I can say. Steam VR, the rendering is distorted if you like turn left or right, and then with the Oculus, it renders upside down and flipped because of like texture coordinate mismatches. It's a whole thing. So that's been fun for me to try to figure out. But yeah. Is there anyone who's attending the WebXR meetup for the first time here?
I think Laurent and I are.
True, and you guys kind of gave your introductions already. Was there anyone else? Or Gabe, yeah, you could maybe give a short introduction for people that may not be super familiar with Frame.
Hey, y'all. Just running through my house for a second. Hey, it's great to be here. I think it's been a while since this meetup was held in here, so I was excited to see that it was. But I'm just the product manager for the Frame product here, which I think has had a lot of updates since you all met in it last. I would be happy to talk about those at some future meetup. But yeah, awesome to be here, and really love the presentations today.
Oops, volume was down. Jin, you said that Wolvik doesn't use Servo. What does? So you're right. Wolvik did at one point remove the existing Servo code. So no one's really actively using Servo at the moment. The main thing that they're working on right now, they're working with the people who do Tori, which, for those that don't know, Tori is similar to Electron, but it's backed by Rust, and instead of bundling Chromium, it uses the native like system WebView. So on Windows, it's WebView 2. On Linux, I think it's something WebKit based. I think the same story on macOS as well. So Tori is looking into using Servo as sort of like an embedded sort of web engine for it, which they recently released some demos for it. But I personally, I just thought it would be a fun project to hack on. I've been wanting to like kind of practice some more Rust, and having a project like that working on sort of like compartmentalized pieces of it, I think is pretty cool. I've also been looking into adding support for the gamepad API in there too. Yes, I have heard of Bevy. Haven't really messed around with it much though, but I keep tabs on them every now and again because I know that there are a couple people that have been working on doing like adding like OpenXR support and even WebXR support for it. I think there's an existing demo somewhere. I'd have to find it. It's in like a Discord server somewhere. But somebody like got a basic WebXR demo working with Bevy. Thanks for the link. I have not, Gabe. I did see that they recently announced that though. I guess speaking of Apple, has anyone here pre-ordered Vision Pro? Vision Pro at home. Yeah, I'll be interested to see people like find, especially WebXR devs, giving their like first-hand impressions of it. Spatial Jonas, what specifically do you mean by the state of WebXR layers? Just support? I did not. 3,500 is a little rich for my blood. At Zesty, though, my boss Elijah, he did pre-order one though, so I'll anything I want to test, I'll probably just be running through him once he picks it up.
Hey, what are you doing? Hey, absolutely not.
But yeah, to your question about
God.
WebXR layers, embedding iframes, that's currently not possible. WebXR layers right now, they specifically handle like XR composition layers, which under the hood, it just means kind of like, you know, rendering directly to like a quad or like a curved surface or a cylinder or things like that. Embedding like web content, like specifically like DOM elements in VR is kind of a separate proposal, which has been touched on frequently over the last few years. But according to, you know, people from the Immersive Web Working Group, there's just a lot of security concerns with doing it that kind of prevent it from moving forward. So we're stuck with the current solutions of, you know, like doing HTML to Canvas or like JavaScript based translations. I think 3JS has like HTML mesh that also does like basic stuff, but yeah, and then there's DOM overlays, but that's limited to 2D sort of mobile AR experiences. Oh yeah, the WebXR body tracking stuff is super cool. I've like not seen many examples of the full body tracking like in existing Quest 3 apps. Although I remember Rick mentioning that apparently like the mirror in the home environment makes use of it. But yeah, that would be super cool to get into WebXR and finally not have to worry about writing our own full body IK systems anymore. Oh yeah, and depth sensing. I'm curious to see who is going to start integrating that into their stuff first, because so far the only example I've seen has been Rick's like ball shooter demo. Oh, nice. I don't know that the PR has been merged yet. I can double check that though. Let's see. Yeah, I'm just looking through the PRs now. So he had an initial PR added depth sensing support 3 months ago, and then there's a new one that was 10 days ago that says added depth sensing support v2. Oh yeah, they were. I remember they were talking. They were having a disagreement about something involving like the depth buffer, and I think also part of like the shader stuff he was doing. But let's see, what's the latest comment here? So yeah, last thing I see in here is Mr. Doob asking for a refactor. So probably still a little bit of a wait on that. Ooh. How do you do that?
So, at risk of causing a particle storm, in the emoji menu, if you're an editor of the space, which you should be, maybe others are too, if they're
Oh,
logged
I
in.
see it effects.
Yeah, effects. They're kind of like short-term particle systems that clean themselves up after 5 seconds because people wanted to do this with the particle systems, but it was like annoying they'd leave them in and then they'd wonder why their FPS was 5 and smoke was coming out of their computer. We're witnessing now what can still go wrong with these. Oh, and your avatar, if you're a human avatar, we have some. Sorry, I've got a baby in the background here, but if you hold down 1, 2, 3, or 4, we've got a couple little like emotes.
Oh yeah, I see him in here too.
You can do a little dance.
That's fun.
Yeah, just a little.
The spiral pink thing shreds. Oh yeah, what is that over here?
You know, I was looking at that, Jake. I thought that might have been you bringing in a shader or something. I could not tell you what these are.
Yeah, I can't select it.
Yeah, I'm in edit mode and I can't select it, so I'm sort of baffled.
They look like they're supposed to be candles.
Yeah. Yeah, someone did something interesting here.
If you look at it from top down, it kind of looks like the things in the car wash that go over your thing to like buff it out. Oh yeah, that kills my FPS even on desktop.
Really? Yeah. Yeah, we've got some. I thought it was a shader, like in our shader library. We've got some really cool. We've got some really cool shaders in here. I'm bringing some into the front, but this is not one of them. So I'm sort of.
Be right back.
For those of you that weren't getting lagged out, you're about to be.
Ooh.
These are pretty sick. Applying it to a sphere. I spent so much time trying to apply that water shader to a cube. And it was not happening. Like, what a challenge.
Yep.
The irony is I've been in this space for so long, but I still suck at shaders.
I think we even let you apply these shaders to the skybox.
Ooh.
Do I have permission to do some strange stuff in here?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Go for it.
We're gonna make. I want to go to a space that just has a little bit more of a. Oh wow!
Okay. Rest in peace, Quest users.
Yeah. Okay, so we're in here. If you look over the edge here, all of our assets are down there because we did this environment switch. So what I'm going to do is clear all the assets, delete them all. There they go. And that still didn't delete those pink, the really wild pink ones, but let me bring in a shader that might look good as the overall like background. I really like this one. Okay, so I'm going to go put it on the sky. Oh boy. Oh boy.
You have entered the void. Oh wow!
We are in the void.
Don't look into the light.
I don't even see it yet. I just have a white screen.
Yeah,
I can't
I can
move.
hear everyone, but everyone froze for me.
Yeah, we can't move. Refresh.
Yeah, refresh.
My Brave says that the memory usage for this tab is 596 megs.
We're just getting started. Yeah, but refresh.
Oh, that's nothing.
We made it.
Okay, my bad. We're not trying that one again. Let's see.
Live demo.
Yeah, for sure. Do you have some other cool shaders though? I think we have some that respond to the movement of the camera. Is that right? Let me see what this one is. No, this one is just this weird replicating one that like cuts itself in half every 5 seconds. Let's see. Spooky noise. I know we've got a few that like respond to your camera position. Maybe they're tucked in our broader library. We just expose a couple of them over here. Yeah, the infinite tiles one is funny though. If you stare at it, I mean, it just gets really. Ooh, I love psychedelic swirls. Let's bring this in. Come on. I am not able to bring any more in. Have you all seen our NPC asset?
I have not.
Okay, so this is really goofy, but it's getting a lot better soon. Look at this little robot. So it's just a GPT wrapper, local. So no one will see your. People can have separate little convos with it, but in edit mode, if you select it, you can give it custom instructions. So you can have it like, well, you can type in a couple paragraphs of custom instructions for it in edit mode. But coming up, you can upload files to it. And coming up, you can have it roam around and create the space for you based on instructions that you give it. So it'll roam around and put stuff on walls. It'll roam around and even try to like create stuff, like create 3D models for you and put them in certain places. And it'll be like working on it whether you're in there or not. So you can come back later in the day and kind of see what it's done. But yeah, for now it's just it's a little bare bones.
That's really cool though. Like, autonomous agents that can like interact in space.
Yeah, that's what we're going for. This is pretty neat.
Gonna get super addicting. Just give them instructions and come back at the end of the day and see what's going on.
Yeah, I want to let them like we're gonna do some really big stuff here. Like I want to let you bring in a few that can interact with each other kind of throughout the day. Like you bring two in. Like,
I can't wait to get back in here and start playing. This looks fun.
Yeah, yeah, we're psyched about this this stuff here. Trying to think if there might be anything else like new and interesting in here. We've got, okay, check this feature out. We have an integration with Google Street View. And does anyone have a place they want us to collectively explore, like a city or anything like that? Paris.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to go with Paris because it's the first one I saw. So we're going to go Paris. And I'm going to drag my Street View person
to hopefully what is a cool place in Paris. And we are going to go there. 1 second. While that's loading, I'm going to clear out some of these shaders. Okay, so here we are. We are about to go. Boom. And it's got Street View. It's got the Street View navigators. So wherever Street View has like a waypoint, you can go. It looks like it's got one that goes into this store.
Oh wow, nice.
Let's go.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's great.
It's a
Oh my
premium.
God.
This is a premium feature. Now we're in a gym. It's hilarious. Like the places that have indoor Street View imagery. Yeah. So that's pretty cool.
Nice. I actually
yeah,
end up using Street View a lot in the planning of projects and such for clients. This would be a great way to like discuss with them in real time.
Oh, totally. Yeah. One of our big users is our biggest user, like our parent company is a real estate company, and they use this for all sorts of things, but they're getting into like helping people give kind of tours of areas that they might not be familiar with and stuff. So the Street View integration was the easiest way to do it. Yeah.
Google also has 3D models API.
Yep.
Is it for the web as well, or
Yep.
only Unreal Unity?
No. You can access those 3D tiles from the web as well, and we actually have a branch like that lets you use that. It's just been a little bit peculiar with like when you get certain areas, the meshes are too big. We need a couple like protections in place to make sure people don't import stuff that's too big, or make sure we can kind of compress it the right way. But it definitely works on the web, and it's a good API.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
We've got for those that this is kind of a goofy feature, but we have some people who like are in here and they're following the markets all the time, and we've got a feature that I'm going to put in a couple companies, and let's see, what's another company? Okay, here we go. And then you can add this like stock panel, and it's not going to update in real time because it's not in trading hours. But if you look at this, if you came back here during trading hours, these actually update like every 15 seconds or whatever with new data. So
Nice.
yeah, some people just park their tickers wherever they want. Of course, we've got our poll feature.
What how do you define which tickers are up there? Just in the settings of it.
Once you bring it in, I don't think you can. You have to delete it. But then when you add it on the way in, that's when you can define the
right on. Okay.
That's when you can define it. Yeah.
Cool.
I see there's a poll feature too.
Yeah, my extra biased poll. Yeah, nice. Really cool.
Oh wow! It even gives you
and the results just type in there. Yeah. We've got. Let's see. Those are some of the big ones. We have.
Is it something you set up for this event, or is it available always? If you host something, can everybody make it snow?
It's up to the admin of the space to kind of decide who has those superpowers. This space right now is set up very permissively, so pretty much anyone who's logged in has edit permission, which is why it was a particle free-for-all earlier in the auditorium. But for events, usually you want to kind of like restrict the permissions pretty hard. Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah. Here's one of our new environments.
What? Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, this is a fun one.
It's cozy.
Yep. This is going to be used for an investors fireside chat later this month that we are nervous and excited about.
Nice job on the flames. That's
that's a little shader tucked in there.
Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And fire is one of the hardest things to get in VR, especially WebXR. And I think that's a nice representation in this medium. So
Nice.
good job, man.
It was Paul on our team, like as you might have guessed.
Nice. Yeah, right on.
The candles have a really subtle little flicker too. There are some candles tucked around on the benches nearby. Just a little. But you know what's really cool?
Oh, that's nice.
I'm going to take us back to that big campus because there's something kind of
it's
epic
still
that you.
Snowing.
Yeah, someone brought in a snow particle. So check this out. There's a shader in this space, and we've got a feature that lets you actually modify like the inputs of the shader in real time. And give me one.
There he goes.
Oh, good. I didn't miss anything.
There he is.
Okay, coming back. Frame settings, environment and performance, environment material editor. Okay, so take a look at like the water, for example. Like the waterfalls. I'm pretty sure I can change. I'm like changing the color of the water.
Oh, hey, nice.
Yeah, and now
Gross.
I'm going
Somebody needs some chlorine.
I'm changing the speed of the water.
So you've got a modular control now over the shaders in World.
Exactly, yeah. And you
Dude, yes.
Yeah, it's totally sick. You just have to tag the like the nodes on your shader the right way.
Yes.
And that gets them exposed.
What do you tag them as?
We have a blog post about this. I don't know offhand, but it's not too tricky.
I weirdly saw something in there that said show in frame, but I never saw that do anything, so I didn't know if that was it.
Well, I'll link you up to what you need, but once you wire it up, like you can do some really sick stuff, especially if it's the kind of space where you want to be tweaking parameters in front of people in real time and get their feedback on how it looks and stuff. Like it's pretty sick.
You know my space. I definitely want to tweak those parameters.
Yeah. Like I've got a season parameter on this one, and when I look at the color of the leaves and stuff.
Ooh.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun. Yeah.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah. And then check out for those that are nearby, I'm going to bring in an absolutely massive streaming screen. And I want to show y'all something. I want to make it. Well, you can zoom in, I guess, if you need. So here's this. So we've got we've got kind of this like simple environment creator. It's called the tile map editor. And plug it in my other monitor here. I'm going to go with, okay, share screen. And check this out. So now you can go to tiles.framevr. We have a lot of users. They're non-technical. And we like really pride ourselves on trying to serve that base as well as we can. And a lot of them, they want to get creative, but Blender is too much and stuff like that. So we made this little tile editor that just lets you like drag these tiles onto the map, and you can make little layouts. And we provide kind of like some basic tiles, and you can rotate them and manipulate them, and like you kind of set up your map. And then right from here, you can save it to like your inventory, which is a feature in Frame. It's like your stash of models or environments or whatever. So you kind of set up your space, and then get yourself logged in. I'm going to log in with myself, and then I'll take us to the environment that I'm going to make right here. So I'm going to go. This is just an atrocious environment. I'm trying to imagine how we're all even going to fit on this. So let me add another little tile or two. Here we go. And once you use this for a bit, then some things are like, why don't you have like copy and paste and like all this stuff? It's all coming. This is just getting it off the ground. So let's add a little bit more space here, maybe a couple trees. Okay. So
why can't you completely innovate faster? Jeez.
Yeah, we're getting there.
No, you're good, man. This is
so it's all done, and I'm going to click save, and I'm going to save it as WebXR Meetup, and I'm saving to my inventory. And then here inside of Frame, I'm going to take us right there. So I'm going to go to my inventory, which is part of the sidebar, and there's a new drop down for inventory environments. And here's my environment right here. And I'm going to click on go there. And it's kind of plopped me. Yep, here we are.
Oh, hey everyone.
Hey.
So cozy.
But
Nice.
you get the idea.
Great.
It's pretty sweet, right? Yeah. We love this idea of like tiles, and we want to let other people submit their own tiles, and that get kind of incorporated into
what about building tiles in world? Like if we're here now, we have the. What about slapping the tiles down as we go? Like while we're here, is that?
Yeah, not quite yet, but like we've been thinking about that because we build it in the tile editor, then we bring it in here, and of course you have edit mode in here, so that's kind of the next like logical question. Like, why can't you just like make the tile map here? And
I'm just thinking like multiplayer tile building kind of games and social meetups. That could be a really great activity.
Totally agree. But yeah, pretty fun. We're
yeah, this is so cool.
We love this little tile map thing. Cool. Well, I'm glad you gave me the chance to show off here. We have a lot of fun new stuff to show off.
Yeah, this is super cool. A lot happens in 2.5 years.
For sure.
Dude, a lot happens in a couple months. I haven't been around in a couple months. This is great. I mean, I've seen you guys talk about the tile map. I just haven't seen it in action. It's really good to get a demo.
Cool. Yeah, I'm just like a ship it kind of person. Like over the very loud complaints of all the developers on the frame. I always just like once the feature's working, I'm just like, time to ship it.
That's a great way to get live beta feedback for free, man.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, cool to hang out with y'all. I got a jet, but good stuff.
Yeah, thanks for showing us so much. It was nice to have you.
Of course.
Thanks, Gabe.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, who wants to sit at a cubicle and do some work? Let's get to it.
He left us here in this small environment.
That's funny.
Okay, so I put you in a cube. Bye-bye.
He goes back into the editor and starts removing tiles.
Where's our world going? That's great.
Oh, man.
A new type of MOBA.
Oh shit, I'm stuck on the table. What's going on? Oh no. I got up out of the seat. I'm stuck. Well, this is my life now. Ah, there we go. If you go, there it is. Yeah, you have to get up on the bench. Hacking the game.
Oh yeah, definitely gonna have another meetup in here sometime soon. This is great.
Yeah, I think it works better than hubs.
Yeah, the whole reason that we even did this one in Frame is that I just hadn't gotten around to like standing up Hub's Community Edition because the whole Kubernetes requirement. And it like the Hetzner VPS that I rented, it just like wouldn't work when I tried to run the setup scripts. So I was just like, okay, maybe I'll just do it in Frame this time. And it was like I needed to grab like the plan that would let me have more than like 15 or 20 people. And so between Frame and Hubs, Hubs would have been like $79 and Frame was only $50. So I was just like, okay, let's do it in Frame. I probably could have asked Gabe for like a bump on one of the other ones, but eh.
I think it works better than Hubs. At
Definitely
least for
feels smoother.
2D. I didn't try it in VR.
True, yeah. I would have been in VR if I didn't also have to keep an eye on our puppy right now.
It's pretty it's pretty good in VR. They got some things to. Last time I was in VR, there were a few things to work out. Like you could see the T pose, A pose skeleton rig sticking out of all the avatars as everyone moved around. Little things like that, but it was functionally, it worked, and it didn't really. I mean, the frame rate wasn't too bad unless you obviously started overloading it.
Does Frame display text chat to immersive mode users?
You know, I want to say I think so. Maybe I think you have this little wrist menu thing. Maybe it's in there. If anybody's on Quest right now, I don't see one.
Yeah,
Oh
because
yeah, I do. I see a
that was my
legendary.
major gripe with hubs and why I wanted to try and stand up
Yeah.
community edition to make some fixes myself, because anytime somebody in text chat sends a message, it like
Yeah.
hangs everyone in VR because it's like blocking on the thread that's making the text bubble, and it's just super annoying.
Nice. Get some coroutines up in here. What are they doing?
Right?
I don't know. I'm pretty. I mean, I have nothing to officially do with Frame, but I like this platform. They do a really good job and seem to just continuously innovate, which is really cool. It's nice to see. Every few months I come back and there's some new crazy little toy to play with.
Yeah, like when he was talking about like the agent that can like interact and like set up the frame for you, I was just like, oh man.
Yeah. Wonder. I don't know if any of you have ever seen. I put my nightclub in here, the Flying Saucer. It's like an alien little spaceship nightclub thing, and I just went crazy with the shaders, but everything's very optimized. It actually works very well. We had a big party there in here in Frame with like I think we peaked at about 48 people, but had a course of the night we had about 200 people or so roll through, which is really nice. And it worked. I mean, for the most part. And we had people coming in on all different types of devices, mobile phones, everything. It was wild.
That's pretty crazy. I don't know if I've seen that kind of numbers in a hubs room, at least one that I've been in.
Well, I called it the crash the launch party. I was literally trying to trying to crash the platform. I think we did a pretty good job. Actually, I think Gabe messaged me a couple of days afterwards and was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna rewrite the entire back end because of the party." It was pretty funny. I don't know if y'all want to go there real quick. It's still up. You just / flying saucer. Frame VR / flying saucer. Can you do portals in Frame? That'd be cool to be able to throw a portal
cool,
up.
yeah.
I'm gonna tell him that.
Can I?
But you can just open a new tab.
I want to see if I can. I wouldn't be able to get to it by changing the environment. Would I have to like fully like change rooms?
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe just / flying saucer. See if it's public. It's just out there to join. It would be an interesting experiment.
Yeah. Environment.
I keep meaning to come back and do more with it, but my eventual goal with it is actually to try and port it over to every single WebXR and VR platform I can, and use it kind of not only as a benchmark, but also just to kind of have this cool single club that's in multiple platforms. What a neat idea.
Definitely, yeah.
I played around with the idea of somehow connecting them through visual information, not necessarily seeing the other avatars, but maybe small representations if we could get like coordinate data out. And I started with VR chat and realized every single method possible is either technically blocked, or if it's not technically blocked, it's in the terms of service and we'll get an instant ban. There is no data in or out of that platform. This sucks. So it kind of instantly killed the idea of trying to connect WebXR with VR apps.
There's a little color picker next to the seat, and I can't quite get to it. Oh, it's part of. Oh, it's a whiteboard.
All kinds of surprises on the floor.
That's where it went.
Nice.
I tried adding a whiteboard earlier, but I didn't see anything, so I forgot about it.
Nice. I would say
you
I do
can
like
download the drawings too. That's fun. Yeah, there's just so much functionality in here too. I even saw before I like went live on Twitch, there was like a start capture, and you can like save a local recording, which is pretty sweet.
I'd like to see them get into spatial recordings. I don't know if you've ever seen the Engage platform, Engage VR. They do a thing in there where you can actually record the space, all the avatars, the sound, everything. Like, I'm not exactly sure what it is they're what format they're recording to. I'm assuming it's just a giant, data file of positions, but audio recordings, and it all plays back. And you can shrink it. That you can take this whole world, record all of us talking, and then play it back on this tabletop, like shrink it down, and we can all just like watch it from all angles. It's the coolest thing.
Interesting. Yeah, I think the like Polly's nomination thing was in Engage, wasn't it?
Yeah. They Ben does tons of stuff over there. That's him. Yeah, him and Helen. They've moved their official worlds are over in Engage now, and it works. It works for them. I like Engage okay for events, like certain events, but I feel like for just, I don't know. I still haven't found that like magic alt space combination of just like freely available social kind of goodness. Everywhere seems to be very purpose driven.
All right. Well, I gotta bounce for now, guys. But it was a great meetup. Nice seeing the new faces here and getting to explore Frame.
Yeah. Glad I got to catch the meeting. Look out for the next one.
All right. See y'all later.
See ya. I'm out too, y'all. See everyone.